Today, I'm going to show what may be some of the strangest ways to use the bar block and what may be one of few of the most favorite mechanisms using a rope block. So, let's begin. The first mechanism will be what could be the simplest way to propel a spring without the use of overly complicated mechanisms. So first, unless you're going to apply this onto a build, place any regular block on the ground, then for the lightest option, place a plastic block onto this one, then move it up any distance higher than 4 studs, and place a spring on the first block and the plastic block. Then place a servo on any side of the spring so that the rotating part meets the center, and attach a bar block onto the servo first and the plastic block last. Then turn match rotation off for the bar and adjust the settings of the servo as you please. The higher the angle, the higher the propulsion. After all that, use whatever you wish to control this with and test it out. Who wants to use a bunch of hinges and blocks just to move this now? Speaking of which, it is actually possible to gain a higher propulsion, but before adding the bar block, you need to place a plastic block on the servo and scale it for how long you want the spring to go, but that's optional. The second mechanism will be a pretty satisfying mechanism to look at, which also looks a lot like something from a car motor. So first, place an old wheel down facing upward and place a plastic block in the middle and move it up any distance higher than 4 studs. Then place a spring on the wheel first and the plastic block last. And then place a hinge on the ground near any side of the wheel like this. And for a method that makes this move closer to the wheel each cycle, place a bar block on the hinge first and the side of the plastic block nearest to the hinge last. But for a method that makes this move away from the wheel each cycle, place a bar block on the hinge first and the side of the plastic block farthest from the hinge last. Then adjust the wheel speed as you wish. Afterwards, use whatever you wish to control this with and test it out. And if you wish to make this look trippy, do the same things with the bar block and hinge but on all 4 sides, and you get... The third mechanism will be a swing that would be used out of complete randomness and can be built in a short amount of time, at least if you don't overlook it. First, place any block down and scale it up to be 20 studs or higher if you want to reach space, and duplicate it by 20 studs on any side depending on what angle you want to swing at. Then place a servo like this on any side facing the opposite pole, and instead of another servo on the other side, place any block on the opposite pole and scale it back and down by 1.5 studs, and this is what it should look like. Then place a hinge in the center of this pole and move it back and up by 0.5 studs, and place any block here and scale it back by 1 stud and up by 2 studs, and move it towards the hinge like this, and make sure you did not scale this while it was attached to the hinge. That would glitch the block out. Now, for the C of the swing, unless you work out triceps every day, place a block on either pole 2 studs away from the ground and scale it so that it's 2 studs away from each pole. And for the strings, place bar blocks on both sides of the servo on the hinge block first and the seat last. Now, place the car seat on the block and test it. I swear, if anyone uses a switch with this, you're a freaking robot.
This is so fun.
To start moving, point your character in the direction you wish to go, so that your weight can move the seat. And to stop moving, make your character point at the servo until the swing comes to a halt. Oh, and you can also do this, but it's not as important. And the final mechanism, which may also be the best one of all of these, will be giving yourself the ability to do a front flip or a back flip, depending on the circumstances. First, place a wood block anywhere away from the edges of your plot, and scale it up by 4 studs or more if that makes you comfortable. And place a servo like this and clone it until you have 4 servos on top of each other, and set the servo angle for all 4 of them to 90 degrees, and, to have the best looking flip, set the speed for all 4 servos to 10, or whatever seems to be the best speed. And place the chair down really far away from the mechanism, and sit down on it. Then place the cake in your belly and place a rope block on the face of the 4th servo first, and your cake last, and place 2 plastic blocks on top of the rope block on your cake, and place the lever of your choice on top of that, and then you can remove the chair, make everything unanchored, invisible, and collision off, and you're done. Now you have become a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Just don't break your skull though. Anyways, that's all I have, and I'll see you later. It's done now, right? Okay. Now can I get a new head? And my zero toes. Why?